Hi there, we're here for a one-on-one with seated forward bend. So I recommend sitting up on a blanket like Liz is here. So it helps you to lift your hips up and just to have a little bit more space to move. Now I want to talk about a good seated position. So if you start a little bit further back, you have less space to come forward. So doing this pose from seated, you have less space than you do when you do this pose from standing forward bend. So in some ways you have the same pose, different relationship to gravity, but because you don't have the space behind you to move when you're seated, that makes the seated version more difficult. So what I recommend is coming so that your sit bones catch the edge of the blanket. That helps your pelvis to already start to make that tilt forward, making it easier for you to come in. So the next tricky part of doing this from seated is the belly thigh compression. So I want to show a couple of different belly options. One, you bring both hands to the low belly, move the skin down in towards your hip crease. When you do that, it can give you a little bit more space in your front to come forward. Other option, you come out, sort of undo that, then bring hands to the low belly again, same place. This time, move that belly skin up and just sort of let it land wherever it lands, coming forward there. So you can play around with both of those options, see what works better. What I've found is it's sort of 6 one way, half a dozen another. So for some people, they prefer to move the skin down, and what that does is move it from the front, but then it doesn't let the hip close as much. So when you pick the skin up, it's the reverse. The hip can close more, which you need for the forward bend, but it may feel more compressed in the front. So it's really just about what works for your body. The other option here is to take the feet just a little bit wider. So there's another pose that's a forward bend with the legs very wide, but we're working with the one with the feet closer together because it's typically more complicated for more people. So once you've got all of those things set up, then another option is to bring blocks on either side of the legs just to help you lengthen a little bit here. So what I want you to focus on is inhaling here, lengthening your spine, rooting through your sit bones, then using that length, exhaling, folding forward. As you fold, you could walk the blocks further towards your feet. You could also just push the blocks to the sides, bring your hands to the floor. Head releases down wherever you are. Now sometimes there's a little boob strangle that happens here. So what I want you to do if you're feeling that is to lift the head up. From here with that length in the spine, tuck your chin first. Now keep that length lower down again. So that lets you have more space in the neck, feel a little less strangled, which is always good. Any amount less strangled is good. When you're ready, you can keep the chin lightly tucked, slowly come on back up to seated. And that's seated forward bend.